Howdy, this is Karen from Karen Dawn Designs, and today I'm going to show you how to read cable stitches on a chart so you can knit cables without having to look at the key. I'm going to do 2 4-stitch cables and 2 3-stitch cables. So let's go ahead and get started. This is a symbol you might see on your chart. It is a cable stitch. You can recognize that because these stitches are crossing over each other. And you don't need to worry about what this cable is called. You just need to look at the chart to be able to do it in your knitting. So the first thing you need to do is count the number of stitches that are involved. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4. So this cable uses 4 stitches. Then you can see that you've got 2 lines going that way and 1 line going this way. So you can see that these 2 stitches are represented by these 2 lines, and these 2 stitches are represented by this line. Notice that this line, these 2 lines, form the stitches that are in the front because you can see that these lines are drawn over this back line. So that means that these 2 stitches are passed over the front of these 2 stitches. Let me show you what that means. These 4 pieces of felt represent the 4 stitches that are involved in this cable. So if you look again at the symbol, you can see that these 2 stitches are going to pass over the top of these 2 stitches. So how you would work this on your knitting is you would take these first 2 stitches and put them on your cable needle and hold them to the front. Then you would knit these 2 stitches. So they are going to travel over in that direction. Then you'll take the 2 stitches that are on the cable needle and knit those, and they travel in that direction. So you can see by this representation that what you have on the chart, these 2 stitches in the front, this line representing these 2 stitches in the back, is exactly what I've done here with these pieces of felt. So once again, you should look at your chart and count 1, 2, 3, 4 stitches are involved in this cable. And this time, the lines that go in the front are coming from these 2 stitches, and the line that goes in the back is coming from these 2 stitches. So that means that these 2 stitches need to pass over the top of those 2 stitches. So you can see there you have the representation of what's on the chart. And how that works in your actual knitting is you would take these 2 stitches, put them on your cable needle, and hold them to the back of your work. Then you would knit these 2 stitches, and then finally knit the 2 stitches off your cable needle. And there is the cable cross. So what happens when you have a cable that uses a purl stitch? The next 2 examples are going to show you that. So the first thing you need to do is see that there are 1, 2, 3 stitches involved in this cable. Notice these dots. This is the symbol for the purl stitch. So what this cable is doing is taking this purl stitch and moving it up to this side. So you're taking the purl stitch from the right side of this 3-stitch cable and moving it so it shows up on the left side. The same thing applies. You have these 2 knit stitches represented by these 2 lines, and they are in the front of the work because you can see the full line. And then this purl stitch is represented by this line with the dot there to, again, identify it as a purl stitch, and it is showing up behind these 2 knit stitches. And then finally, you'll end up on the next row with the purl stitch there. So let me show you how that works. So here we have our 3 stitches that are going to be involved in this cable, and I've marked this one a P for purl. So you take the purl stitch and you want it to come behind these 2 stitches. So that way what you end up with looks exactly like what you see on the chart. These 2 stitches are on top and this purl stitch has passed behind. So what that means when you're actually knitting is that you will take this purl stitch, you will slip it to your cable needle, you will hold it to the back of your work, and you will knit the next 2 stitches, and then finally knit, or actually purl, that stitch off the cable needle, and again, you'll end up looking exactly like that, just like the chart looks. So here is the companion cable stitch with the purl going in the opposite direction. This time with your 1, 2, 3 stitches, the purl stitch is over here on the left, and we want to, through the cable, move this purl stitch over to the right. So the same principles apply. These are knit stitches. You can see the lines are in the front, so these knit stitches are in the front, and this purl stitch, the line with the dot representing the purl, is in the back because you only see part of that line. So again, you want it eventually to look like this. Purl stitch is going to go behind, knit stitches are going to be in the front, and there you have the exact representation from the chart. There's the purl stitch, and there are your 2 knit stitches on the top. So once again, to actually do that in your knitting, you will take these 2 stitches, put them on your cable needle, and hold them to the front. Then you will purl the stitch off the needle, and then knit the 2 stitches from the cable needle, and you'll end up, there's your purl stitch coming from behind, and your 2 knit stitches in the front. A little trick on the purl stitch, because the knit stitches are the ones that usually are showing up in your cable, so this is the front of your work, and that's what you want to see. Almost always you will find that the purl stitch is going to be the stitch that goes behind the knit stitches whenever you have a cable featuring some purl stitches. So just a little extra tidbit right there. So there you have it. Looking at cable stitches on a chart and not even having to read the key or read the description of the cable, you should be able to get through your cable knitting really quickly by doing that and not having to stop and look up the definition of each cable. If you combine this technique with cabling without a cable needle, which I also have a video tutorial for, then your cabling can go really fast and you can knit all sorts of cable projects and not have to stop and think about the cable each time, read the description, get your cable needle out, and then work the cable. So combine this video with the cabling without a cable needle video and your knitting will really take off. If you have any questions about this video or any of my other video tutorials, please feel free to contact me. I am Karen Dawn on Ravelry and Karen Dawn Knits on Instagram and Twitter. Thank you and happy knitting!